Dem influencer payment drama continues. Parasocial fans of like liberal content creators feeling bad because the content creators themselves feel bad about like having their commentary or their infallibility or their like independence get called into question because of this article does not change the claims in the article. It does not change the journalism and the evidence presented in the article. There's a lot of back and forth happening, some of which is, I guess, marginally productive, but most of it is wholly unproductive. And much of it is stemming from, like, I think, content creators that have worked with the Democratic Party through like these donor groups that are funding them, feeling as though they've been outed for not being independent and being independent voices in the way that they've presented themselves to their audiences. And I think that's like creating some animosity, and therefore they're just kind of like attacking the messenger rather than the reporting itself. This is the scoop. Powerful dark money group is secretly funding high-profile Democrat Party influencers. Big liberal content creators are being paid up to $8,000 a month to push party messaging. Democrats hope that the secretive course creator incubator program funded by a powerful liberal dark money group called the 1630 Fund might tip the scales in their favor after Kamala Harris's stunning loss to Trump last fall. So we'll start off here. This is Brian Tyler Cohen. So Brian Tyler Cohen owns Chorus, like, which is supposed to be this like not independent, but like Dem-aligned influencer strategy, influencer marketing group. And at most, like, the argument that I've heard is, well, Republicans have been doing this. Why can't we do it as well? Which is fine. I mean, it's not wrong.
At the risk of giving an internet troll more attention, I want to address a piece that Taylor Lorenz wrote yesterday for Wired. An initiative aimed at boosting Democrats online offers influencers up to $8,000 a month to push the party line. All they have to do is keep it secret and agree to restrictions on their content. Literally nothing in this statement is true. The article is about Chorus, which is a nonprofit that I helped found to build up a creator ecosystem, which everybody says they want, but few are doing. So here's what Chorus is. It is a scholarship program to teach creators how to grow their accounts, foster engagement, launch their own shows, and become profitable on their own. It's an incubator program to build the pro-democracy ecosystem.
Brian is lying. I have zero financial ties to 1630, and neither does the OMDR Network's LLC reporting program, which is not a dark money org. It is nonpartisan. Brian took dark money and failed to disclose his funding. I didn't take dark money and disclosed my funding. OMDR Network receives no funding for the reporters in the residence program via 1630 Fund or any other outside sources. Our programmatic work is supported entirely via our foundation and LLC. More information about where we focus and how we invest is publicly available on the site. Brian Tyler Cohen's debunk was just 5 minutes of him speaking to a camera with zero documents or contracts shown. I don't know how everyone's taking this video of him refuting it. Yeah, so from what I saw, a lot of people basically just turned around and said the exact same things. Most of it was, this is not true, but even if it was, Republicans are doing it as well, so we have to do it as well. And also, it's just not true. They just kind of gave us money with no obligations whatsoever. And if we wanted to report on it, if we wanted to disclose that we were getting money from these guys, then we could openly openly disclose it. We just chose not to disclose it, right? So none of it actually tackles the main points of contention on the Wired article, or at least like the expose that came through from the Wired article. I mean, you could be pro-liberal, pro-Democratic Party, and you could have been totally on board with like the messaging, right? And that's part of the reason why you got money from this group. Like, that's fine. People do independently and organically believe these things as well. It's just like doesn't just exist in the ether. It's not, you don't always have to be paid to say these things. Not everyone is like a Richie Torres, right? Having said that, however, I think it's important for people to disclose their funding in general. Someone writes an article in general, and then instead of addressing the claims that are being made, most people just turn around and go, no, you. And I think a lot of people don't have the capacity to understand that, like, that's not an effective counter, okay? You can't know you your way out of like a court case, for example. If there is an issue and your audience wants to understand like where this funding is coming from or why you didn't disclose this funding that was coming from, you can't just turn around and go, well, the person who wrote this article also gets funded by a different like grant structure, right? This is not an effective counter, okay? Unfortunately, or this should not be an effective counter. Unfortunately, it is a very effective counter. First, what you need to do is actually address the main point of contention. Okay. Good Trouble said she did this in his video and showed proof. No, what they're saying is that Taylor Lorenz is a part of the Pierre Omidyar like independent media fund or something, right? That's what it is, right? I mean, look, Pierre Omidyar, who also is responsible for The Intercept, is a very interesting, he's one of the few billionaires that's interested in at least like allowing some independent media and investigative reporting to take place. That's the reason why he funded The Intercept early on. I think Taylor Lorenz confirmed that she actually had gotten, she's a part of that grant program. That grant program gives independent reporters and investigative reporters in general money from time to time. It's entirely different, however, from like a shadowy PAC. It's entirely different than like a Democratic Party aligned donation structure to Democrat content creators. Yeah, she is an Omidyar Network Fellowship currently, which is completely different and is public. Yeah. I think they might have given money to Dropsite as well. They give money. It's a fellowship. It's like a scholarship. Okay, there's a difference between a scholarship program and a Democrat Party donor aligned shadow donation group funding liberal content creators with some fairly rigorous standards.
Influencers and creators have never been more important when it comes to how Americans are consuming their news. The right has been doing this for years, and the left needs to catch up. That's why we're doing this with Chorus. So let's talk about what Chorus is and what it's not. Chorus does not pay creators for content, does not tell them what to say, it does not...
Open Presence, thank you for the 25 gifted subs. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers.
...control who they talk to or work with, and there is absolutely nothing in the contract that could even be reasonably interpreted to say that we do. Period.
But I don't understand. If that's the case, where is Taylor Lorenz getting this information from? Either there is a massive fuck up here, like, and either she like didn't see the correct contract or something, or someone fed her misinformation, like one of her on background or off the record resources just either deliberately spread misinformation, just lied to her completely. And then not only did that person lie to her, but that person lied to a team of fact checkers, the editorial team. And at no stage did the legal team at Wired magazine look at this and go, this doesn't seem correct, right? Well, what the fuck was that? What is happening? The report says that they looked at multiple contracts that had stipulations. Yeah. So did they just like make up a bunch of fake contracts and then feed it to Wired magazine? If that's the case, why would they have done so? There are too many points of failure and too many lies on behalf of like, in order for me to arrive at this conclusion that like this reporting was untrue, there are a bunch of independent influencers that must have gotten together and like fed the same exact fake information to Taylor Lorenz, and it feels too incredulous. Okay,
full stop. I don't know a single creator who would willfully sign up for a program that would tell them what they can or can't say. That's not what this program is. We pay people to show up to workshops and technical trainings to optimize their content online. For example,
but even this guy saying he got money, his saying he just got money for fun, like his counterpoint to Taylor makes no sense. No, this is the person who owns Chorus, okay? So that's out in the open. That's not actually even a point of contention here. The reporting expanded on that, on who is backing Chorus, the 1630 fund, and who is actually funding the 1630 fund in general, okay? And so when Brian talks about Chorus, that's his program. Like that's his actual thing. Like that's his personal nonprofit.
We've got trainings on how to package content for YouTube, trainings on how to optimize audience retention for Instagram and TikTok, trainings on how to form an LLC. Again, there are zero restrictions on their content. And by the way, the program works. In just 2 months, our cohort has added a combined 6 million followers, that's not including me, and seen their views and engagement grow. That is the point of the program, to teach creators how to be effective with whatever messages they want to promote. And with regard to keeping it a secret, there is a standard confidentiality clause in the contract to protect the privacy of the creators. On the literal first day of the program, it was made clear to all of the creators in our kickoff session that they were absolutely free to talk about Chorus. And we immediately followed up to confirm that in writing. Creators have videos about Chorus. They've got donation links to Chorus in their bios. I myself have made videos that were posted all over the internet about Chorus that reached hundreds of thousands of people. It is not a secret, and it never was.
Yeah, I don't think that's the secretive part. I don't even think Taylor was saying that that's a secret. I don't think Brian is misunderstanding the reporting, right? Like, because the reporting does not make it seem as though Chorus is this secretive element here. Chorus has a website, and on that website there are content creators, many of which actually work with Chorus, and some that do not actually work with Chorus that are even used in the pitch decks, for example. Even in the Wired article, if you guys remember, like Kat Abu-Ghazalek, who is now running for Congress, who used to work as an influencer and also had used to work at Media Matters, was demanding that she no longer be presented in the pitch decks, for example. This comes across like a little bit of a straw man. I think they should just be like, yeah, we're getting money from Democrats, and we're getting money from Democrat donors, and this is a normal part of the process on the Republican side, and we're trying to build a robust liberal media ecosystem. And I think the major issue here was that we did not disclose who we were getting paid from, and whether or not some of the content that we were putting out there was an actual ad or was a demand being made by either Chorus or Chorus as a middleman for 1630, which is the actual backer.
There's the implication in the article that this is some arm of the DNC or the Democratic Party. We have literally nothing to do with the DNC. I spend 0 minutes of my day thinking about the DNC. The creators do not toe any party line. How could we? There isn't a party line. Creators are absolutely allowed to speak out against the Democrats, and in fact, plenty do. And frankly, Chorus creators should and do criticize Democrats when they suck. And quite often, they do suck. I've seen posts saying that this is AIPAC funded, which couldn't be further from the truth. I'd venture to...
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. That's not an argument that was presented by Taylor at all either. I don't think, right? Simple take from just a person this content is aimed at. I want to see the Democratic Party be more responsive to the will of their base. What I see here is the Democratic Party using independent creators to tell me, no, your opinion is wrong. Here's the correct one. I'm not interested in being told what I should believe. This time they can come to us, not the other way around. Yes, what you're advocating for is the fundamentals of democracy, a representative democracy that creates individuals that are supposed to be public servants that represent the wishes of the masses, represent the wishes of their base at the very least. And that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of democracy. Otherwise, we just don't have a democracy at all. We just have like team sports where there are a lot of agreements on broader issues between the two parties within this duopoly structure, where there's bipartisan compromise on issues that we don't even think about, issues that Americans think about every day, the impact of issues that Americans think about every day, like healthcare and not having socialized medicine in this country that harms millions, tens of millions of Americans. And yet it's a given that it's going to be a private public structure, not even a public structure, but like an entirely privatized endeavor, and that the Democrats themselves barely ever make a dent in that conversation. There's no back and forth on this issue. And when there is any sort of momentum from the left flank that demands we get Medicare for all, Democrats do what? They launch an unjustifiable battle against those who are actually presenting this alternative that many people actually would benefit from, regardless of whether they think it's good or not. This is the issue. And I don't like that a lot of the initiatives from the Dems have been to basically flood the market to the best of their ability with, no, you don't understand, harm reduction. Democrats are better than Republicans, which is not even false. Okay, that is true. Democrats are marginally better than Republicans on a lot of issues, and even majorly better than Republicans on a lot of issues. They just follow the Republicans, at least in the way that I've tracked it for the past, 10 years, 12 years at this point, over the course of multiple election cycles, midterms and general elections, where Democrats basically follow the Republicans' lead on a lot of these issues, and they play the role of normalizing the Overton window shifting further and further to the right as they take on and assume the positions of the Republican Party just 4 years after the fact. This obviously creates a lot of enmity. This creates a lot of anger and resentment in the base of support within the Democrat structure, which is precisely the reason why Democrats have lost support even at a time where they're supposed to be gaining momentum, gaining support, because the Republicans fucking suck. They're in power. Everything sucks. Everything is awful. The world is burning all around us. And yet people still say this is ass. Democrats are not presenting an alternative. They're not fighting back. They're not fighting back hard enough. If you cannot be defined by major problems that persist in American society. And if you can't actively communicate that you are an earnest defender of people's rights, earnest defender of workers' rights, an earnest defender that is going to fight to fix the housing market, that you are going to fix the private healthcare structure that is so broken and so costly and so expensive and in killing people, then of course people are going to assume you are in favor of whatever the fuck the Republicans present you as. Oh, they're unserious. They only want to give bottom surgery to Guatemalan migrants in prison. That was a major issue. That was a major issue in this last election. It's not the transphobia that was so captivating for people. It was the lack of interest from the Dems in addressing any of these issues seriously and sincerely that the Republicans took advantage of.
Most course creators, myself included on both YouTube and Substack, have spoken out against the atrocities in Gaza. Lorenz says that the 1630 Fund is, quote, a powerful liberal dark money group. 1630 Fund is our fiscal sponsor. One of the largest documented donors to 1630 Fund is the same person funding Meteor's Reporters in Residence program, which Taylor Lorenz herself is a part of. And guess what her monthly stipend is? $8,000 per month. So she's criticizing an entity that is funded by someone that she is currently taking money from. I guess it's okay when Taylor Lorenz gets paid, but no one else. The monthly stipend that we offer is so that creators can do this work full time. We've had numerous creators.
So, I don't know exactly how much money she gets from the Omidyar fund. Okay. And I don't know if Pierre Omidyar is a part of the donation structure for the 1630 fund, but the major difference here is the disclosures. Okay. If it's publicly disclosed, if a grant is a public grant and it's publicly disclosed, it's entirely different than having a bunch of shadowy donors that fund an organization with contractual stipulations that demand that you do not disclose that you are being funded by this organization. What's the point of Brian Taylor Cohen lying about Taylor here? It's not even, I guess technically it's not even a lie. I guess like the only thing that he's wrong about or lying about, or he might be misguided about is the funding, but like you're attacking the messenger instead of the message. It's just it's a trick that a lot of people do. It's a very successful deflection mechanism to say, oh, well, no, you're also getting funded by this guy that we're also getting funded by. But in fact, from what I understand, seemingly Jessica Burbank is the one who started. I really like Jessica Burbank. I don't understand what the fuck's going on here, but is the one who started the complete lie that I'm somehow funded by 1630 Fund, or that Omidyar Network is reporting is. Omidyar Network has received zero funding from 1630. I have received zero funding from 1630. This is a disgusting thing to do to another reporter. Page 82 of Financial Disclosure in 2022. I just DM'd it to King Clip because I saw him retweeting Taylor. This screenshot is from a refund 1630 sent from a program that Omidyar funded years ago before the Reporters in the Residence program even began. The fact that Jessica Burbank is spreading complete fabrications about me in coordinated group chat of influencers is revealing. Jessica's talking about how she's leveraging her connections in media to spread this stuff too. What other journalists has she been boosting the smear campaign to? My story with Wired is factual. Participating in a coordinated smear campaign is so low. Here's the statement from Omidyar Network on the Reporters Residence program. Neither I nor they have ever received funding from the 1630 Fund. I have never received a dollar from any dark money groups or political organizations. ChatGPT link at the, wait, what? SourceChatGPT.com. Does this mean that like ChatGPT spat this out? If Taylor was funded meaningfully by the same entity, wouldn't she simply just not have an interest in writing the article? Yeah. That also kind of doesn't make sense. You being charitable to Brian Tyler Cohen is going to look so bad in a very short period of time. Play the rest of the video. He does not deserve the charitability. Okay, we're doing the same thing over and over again, which is, Hasan, you are being far too charitable to people. I'm always charitable to people, okay? That's it. If you hate it, then this is not for you. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of publicly malicious behavior for me to write someone off. That's just how I am. That's just how I've always operated. And I will continue to operate that way. That's been your downfall several times, I know. And yet I still refuse to stray away from this, okay? He's gonna come for HasanAbi in the video, isn't he? I don't care. I'm nice to people who are fucking actively daggering me too. Look at Bad Empanada. Like, it's fine, you know?
Creators in the cohort quit their jobs so that they can focus on creating content full time. That is what we want. I'm really proud that we can give creators that security for as long as they're in the program. We want people to create pro-democracy content full time, and we want to make sure that they can afford to pay their rent and their bills while doing it. If I could have cohorts with 1,000 people in it so that everybody could be part of the program, I would. For everybody saying that they would like to be part of the next cohort, we would love for you to apply. That's our whole goal. It's to build up an army of pro-democracy content creators who can speak authentically about the issues that they care about and be able to do it as effectively as possible. I should note that while I started this program, I have never and will never get paid. I do.
Okay. I think the major problem here is, like, why do the contracts stipulate that there are no disclosures whatsoever, and what level of editorial control are baked into the contracts? Because now it's just the contracts that Taylor and the Wired team has reviewed versus, which is hard evidence, right? Hard evidence that is backed by the editorial control process that exists in mainstream outlets such as Wired, and the legal teams and the legal reviews that take place in the process, and the fact checking that takes place in the process of, like, putting out an article such as this one. It's not the same as like a Substack report. Ultimately, it's just what he's saying is this is false versus the Wired reporting.
This 100%.
Like, this isn't Brian Tyler Cohen against Taylor Lorenz. This is Brian Tyler Cohen saying Wired is putting out fake news. He is angling this as like Taylor Lorenz being an internet troll. And I think it's because he doesn't want to come across as like shitting on Wired magazine, which does great reporting. So he's just directly tackling the messenger by smearing the messenger rather than address the message. It's a common tactic applied, a common tactic that's used that is unfortunately very effective. Donald Trump does it. A lot of people do this. The other side of this is, like, if this reporting is factually inaccurate, there is a process through litigation that you would normally go through, right? So what's interesting about it is that they're not doing that. They're not, like, actually saying, they're not demanding a retraction from what I see from Wired. They're not trying to send a legal team after Wired to demand a retraction or to potentially sue them for libel. And instead, they're just making content that doesn't necessarily even address the major points of contention here, but simply just moves on past it, directly attacks the journalists who reported on it, and then says, well, the Republicans are doing it too. Now, that last part is not incorrect. Republicans do exactly this, okay? That's why we call them grifters. That's why we call them grifters.
As a volunteer, I have never earned a dime from Chorus, and I never will. I want every dollar that we raise to go to creators so that they can do this important work without spending 8 hours a day working at some different job. I've been saying for years that the left needs to build up its creator space. That has never been more true than it is right now. Influencers and creators have never been more important when it comes to how Americans are consuming their news. The left is a decade behind right now. We desperately need incubators.
This part is correct. He's right about this, right? But having said that, if you were to say it's really important that we also build a robust and transparent progressive media network, okay, to actively counter the misinformation that flows from the right, then that's fine. You say, hey, we fucked up. We shouldn't have had these contracts that are so ridiculous, and we should have disclosed donors, and we should have always been transparent, even if the law allows us to not be transparent. Okay, that's important. Like, I think that's the best possible way to go about this. And the worst possible way to go about it is that to do like almost Trump style, like this person sucks and is bad. Because like the thing that they're pointing to is the Omidyar disclosure filing from 2022 before Omidyar Network reporters and residency fellowship even existed. It's for $45K. Omidyar Network is a billionaire's own philanthropy org, and none of the residents failed to disclose that they're on the Omidyar Network fellowship program. But it's very telling that the reaction from this journalism about a cohort of influencers devolved into defensive lies and glorified botnet of influencers throwing misinformation against the wall to smear the reporter. Like, it's just making me, I feel a little bad about a lot of people that I actually do appreciate, whose voices I appreciate in this space, like Good Trouble especially. Like, he's not in any way, shape, or form quiet on Gaza at all. So like for him to also join on the chorus, and Jessica Burbank as well, I think is great. So it's somewhat disappointing to see them immediately go after. It's somewhat disappointing to see them immediately go after like the not even the actual not even the actual article and the revelations in the article, but instead just like directly attacking the person who did the reporting.
Creators teaching and amplifying new content creators, and not just Chorus, by the way. There are other programs in this space doing the same thing. I want all of them to succeed. We need all of them to succeed. There are people like Taylor Lorenz who are desperate to tear the left apart, and in fact, it becomes clear who her efforts help when you hear stuff like this.
Genuinely, I kind of like Taylor Lorenz because I know that she actually believes what she says.
Totally
Do you get what I'm
agree.
saying?
So yeah, I generally don't align myself with friends of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens.
I don't think Taylor Lorenz is friends with Tucker Carlson and Taylor. What? No, that's not. I think the reason a lot of people don't understand this, but like if you have disagreements, I said this yesterday, even if you have disagreements with the way like Taylor conducts herself or you know, some of the things that she believes or some of the things that she advocates for, ultimately her work speaks for itself. Okay. And she is the type of journalist that unfortunately no longer exists as much, where like people will be like, oh, she'll burn you for a story. And it's like, that's not wrong, but that's what journalists do. Like journalists do that. That's what the job of a journalist is. That's what the job of an investigative reporter is. Okay. Like this is how you, in many instances, a tenacious and maybe a little, maybe a little crazy is like something that is necessary with good reporters, good investigative reporters.